you ever play this game?
Jane, you may take 4 baby steps.
May I?
Yes, you may. Bobby, you may take 2 giant steps. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
Go back. You didn't say may I.
Remember how often you forgot to say may and then you were sent back because you hadn't followed the rules of the game? And can you remember how hard you tried whenever you had a chance to take giant steps? Of course, when you think about it now, those steps weren't very big. But they were the right size in a child's game and a child's world. As you grew up, you changed, and so did your world. It grew larger, yet for you it was still a world of the right size. For most of us, the world is the right size. Some of us are tall, some short, some in between. We differ in shape, in personality, in potential and ability. Yet this world in which we live is flexible enough so that most of us fit within the boundaries of normal. When we can do some of the things other people do, when we can function at a level comparable to others, then the world is the right size. We master a skill or understand a new idea, and we take these achievements for granted. But for some, the world is too big, too fast, too complicated. It is the wrong size world for those who cannot go beyond certain levels of performance. For the mentally retarded, our world can be the wrong size. Can you imagine what it would be like if you were as old as you are today and you still found this child's game too difficult to play, the rules too confusing to follow? What if many of the things you tried to learn were too hard and you still didn't know how to read or write, or to feed yourself, or to get dressed? What if your ability to learn, to adapt, and to compete were so limited that the world wasn't your size at all? What if you were mentally retarded? Retardation means slowness in progress or development. The mentally retarded person has continual difficulty in learning. He has trouble in applying what he does learn to everyday life and in adapting to the ways of the world. His mental handicap may be so slight that he is merely considered slow, or it may be so severe that his mind barely develops. His body will continue to grow and to mature, but not his mind. It's as though his ability to grow mentally is slowed down or stopped. In addition, the retarded person may have various physical handicaps, such as deafness, blindness, poor motor coordination, extreme disorders of growth, and these can complicate his condition. Mental retardation should not be confused with mental illness. Mental retardation is incomplete or impaired mental development. It results in a less than normal capacity to learn or adapt, and is usually a lifelong condition. Mental illness is the abnormal functioning of the mind, when feelings and thoughts become disturbed and twisted, and irrational, unrealistic behavior follows. Mental illness can be treated and often cured. It is possible that a mentally retarded person can also be mentally ill. Many people think that all mentally retarded are the same. Actually, There are many kinds and many degrees of retardation. And each retarded person is an individual who has his own needs, his own potential. For example, George is 35 years old, with the learning ability of a 10-year-old. He used to spend much of his time watching television because there was nothing else for him to do. But he still needs help in eating, in walking. He speaks only a few words. He will need special help all his life from his family and his community. Billy is 3 years old. He has not developed like other children his age, and he never will. His mental and physical problems are so severe that he will need constant care for the rest of his life. These are only 4 of the nearly 6 million mentally retarded children and adults in the United States. Each is an individual with his own personality and his own possibilities and limitations, depending on the mildness or severity of his retardation. Generally, we measure mental retardation by the person's ability to learn and to apply what he learns to everyday life. If you were mildly retarded, your condition might not be easily noticed. You would have a mental age from 8 years to just under normal. While you couldn't keep up with regular classes in school, you could learn to read and write and do simple arithmetic. You could develop the social and job skills needed to become self-sufficient. The majority of the retarded are mildly handicapped like this. If you were moderately retarded, you could learn basic habits and skills. You could learn to speak in simple sentences and to write simple words. Your mental age would be from 3 to 8 years. Under supervised conditions, you could be trained to do simple work. If you were severely retarded, you would have less intelligence than a 3-year-old. You might be able to say a few words. You could probably learn to feed yourself and to follow the daily routine, but would need continuing protection. If you were profoundly retarded, you'd probably not be able to walk or talk, or to learn many other skills. Yet you would have feelings. You would respond to others. Only a very small percentage of all retarded individuals have a handicap this severe. Mental retardation can occur in any family, regardless of its social, racial, or intellectual background. It can be found in the poor home or the rich home, in the city or on the farm. At one time, mental retardation was thought to be inherited. Now we know there are many causes. Mental retardation may result from an injury, an illness, a genetic defect, or from unfavorable emotional, cultural, or health factors, or from causes not yet known. Some disorders occur because of physical factors acting within the person. This may happen before, during, or following birth. For example, infections in the mother's system during pregnancy, or injuries to the brain at birth or during childhood can affect the cells of the brain. If the cells become damaged or deteriorate, then retardation can result. When this happens, the central nervous system is disorganized, so it cannot receive or send complete messages. These interrupted messages from the world about the person cannot be interpreted correctly and acted upon. As a result, he has great difficulty in learning and adapting, and he finds the world is not his size at all. Emotional disturbances in a person with normal potential may also result in retardation. When an individual is facing emotional problems he cannot handle, he becomes distracted, and his ability to learn may be blocked. Then he will function at a retarded level. Other disorders occur as a result of factors outside the person. There is the individual who becomes retarded because he receives no stimulus. He does not have the opportunity to learn. His daily environment is so deprived that he does not receive the intellectual vitamins he needs. Incomplete mental development can follow, and then he will function at a level much lower than his true ability. Other causes of mental retardation are unfavorable health factors, such as inadequate medical care before or following birth, or poor nutrition. Poor health can result, and the child's mental growth may be slowed down. As we said earlier, mental retardation is often accompanied by physical handicaps, sometimes mild, sometimes serious. If these defects are obvious at the time of birth, retardation may be suspected. Retardation not apparent at birth may appear as slowness in development. The baby may show a lack of curiosity and desire to investigate. He may take a great deal longer than ordinary to recognize persons, hold things, crawl, sit up, to walk and talk. However, one of these signs alone does not necessarily mean that a child is retarded. For a normal child may be slower than average in developing in some areas. Sometimes an individual's retardation is not recognized until he goes to school. Constant failure in school may indicate that the child cannot learn in the regular classroom situation. Poor judgment, inability to follow simple directions, or other behavior not in keeping with the child's age may also point to retardation. Today, there are various tests we can use to determine if an individual is mentally retarded. These examinations are done by specialists in several fields. First, the person's medical and family history are studied. Muscular growth and development and brain and spinal cord responses are checked. Biological and chemical tests may be given. Speech, hearing, and vision are examined. For many times, poor hearing or poor eyesight is the real cause of the child's problem. Psychological and educational tests are used to determine the person's level of intelligence and his social maturity. Psychiatric examinations can reveal emotional factors which are contributing to the condition. All these tests are important in evaluating the problem. The results aid the specialists and the family in planning how to best help the retarded person make the most of his potential. How can the retarded person be helped? What can be done? Many of those children with normal abilities who are retarded because of their emotional problems can be helped by psychiatric care. Those children who are deprived, who have no toys, no games, no one to teach them, they need learning opportunities. If they are given stimulus and their environment is enriched, they may be able to catch up. But for other retarded children and adults, there is no way to replace brain cells that have been injured or destroyed, or that have not developed. For these persons, the best answer we have today is training, to allow them to use all the mental capabilities they do have. In the past, we have concentrated on the limitations of the retarded. Now we must focus on his possibilities. He does not want pity because of his limitations. He only needs and wants the chance to make the most of his abilities. His needs and wants are similar to yours and mine, not different. Like us, he is looking for his place in the world. But the world, shaped for those who fit within the boundaries of normal, has not been the right size for the retarded. And today's world grows even more complex and more competitive. Automation, communications, science breakthroughs, space exploration make our world more complicated than it was 25 years ago. And this demands more education, more knowledge, more skills. The mentally retarded person may be confused by the demanding world about him. He may be aware of his constant failures. He can be hurt by the scorn and rebuffs of others. The love and acceptance of his own family is as important to the retarded child as it is to any other child. Like all children, he needs help in growing up. Only he needs more help. and he needs it longer. Most retarded children can benefit from school programs geared to their special needs. Basic school subjects, homemaking, industrial arts, crafts, social and recreational skills can be learned. The increasing number of special education classes in our schools give the retarded child the opportunity to learn at his own speed and still grow up with his friends and share in their activities. If the community does not have the right kind of facilities, residential schools may be best for some youngsters. Here they live with other retarded children and receive the specialized instruction they need. For a few of the mentally retarded, continued care in an institution may be best because of the severity of the condition or the family situation or lack of community services. The modern institution should provide many services which retarded persons need to reach their potential. Depending on the severity of the handicap, services may range from intensive nursing care to education and training in job skills. It used to be that the home and the institution had the only facilities for the retarded person. Now, more and more communities have services that meet the special needs of the retarded individual and his family. Nursery schools, daycare centers, boarding homes, activity programs are designed to help the retarded person to help himself. Other facilities that offer job training, supervised work experience, and rehabilitation aid retarded adults who are able to learn a skill, to find a job, and to earn wages. For others, employment under sheltered conditions helps them to become partially self-supporting and to develop a feeling of worth and of independence. In addition, diagnostic and treatment centers, community clinics, and hospitals can offer to retarded persons the comprehensive physical and mental health services they need. Churches, social agencies, counseling services, all can provide programs that will help mentally retarded persons to have active and satisfying lives. Mental retardation is one of the major health, education, and social problems of our nation. For it is estimated that 3 out of every 100 persons are mentally retarded. The needs of the mentally retarded are extraordinary. We have mentioned some of the services the community can and should provide to meet these needs. Now, what can you do to help the mentally retarded? Since informed citizens become involved citizens, know the nature of mental retardation and understand its problems. Accept the mentally retarded person as an individual. Help him to manage his disabilities and to develop his potential. Help the retarded person find a satisfying life, whether he is in the community or the institution. Know your local services and facilities, and work to develop needed community and state resources. Offer your service as a volunteer worker in one of the facilities serving the retarded in your community. Each mentally retarded child and adult wants the opportunity to live and grow in a world that is the right size for him. May he take a giant step, or only a baby one. His parents and friends are trying to help him take a step forward. How about you? So the world will be the right size for all of us. Will you help?